Hey guys, welcome back to Story Reviews. So sorry that I've been gone for so long. Life kind of happened, so that's a thing. But as we can see, I'm back with a new review. Granted, I know it's not Sonic content, but it's fine. This is something I wanted to review because I found it at my local Walmart for only 30 bucks. It is a NECA brand figure. Well, I can't say figure, it's figures. Which normally, 2 packs that they make go for about 70-ish. And I got this for lower than the price of one of their figures. So, at the front of the box though, we'll go ahead and get into this. You can see some artwork by Kevin Eastman and Peter Lair down here. These are the Shredder Worms of Madness. Go ahead and turn this to its side. It is the 43rd and 44th figures in the line, I would assume. Looking on the back here though, you can see some of the other figures they've got, like Karai, April, some of the turtles. I don't know who's who. Leo from the 4-pack that's supposedly getting also single releases. I don't know if those are out yet. And Leatherhead. And of course down here it says, additional figures sold separately. Like the foot soldiers up here and Karai. On the side, we get some more art, which is exactly like the other boxes in this figure series, where they do art for the figure, and then they show the extension down there. Looking at the top of the box, you can kind of see inside, and then if we take a look down here at the bottom, we can see who all directed, the sculptor, the paint, who did the prototypes, photo, the photography, the illustration, and the packaging, which I guess was just Kevin Eastman. And of course down here, it shows you where all the copyrights belong to, and the brands that worked on it. Enough yapping. I'm going to go ahead and get these out of the box. Open them originally just to make sure nothing was damaged. But I still want to get this review out for you guys. And then we'll set this off to the side really quick, actually. And as you can see, in the back of the package, it is comic art from after they defeated Shredder. So, that's off to the side, and you guys don't know what we're reviewing. We'll just set that off over there. Now, like I said, I did already cut these out of the box off camera. So we'll go ahead and start with Shredder, but not in his armored form. I'll bring him up closer to the camera and we'll zoom in. Okay. So, swing the camera around quite a lot. As you can see, they did really good on his face. Even got his little butt. Anyway, that's how his hair is sculpted. It's kind of got like, there we go. So, maybe. Don't focus on my hand, focus on the face. There we go. You can kind of see how the hair is done. How his back muscles are done too. And the camera doesn't really pick this up the greatest. But like, he does have like a bunch of just like, oh wait, maybe I can get it. There we go. It will not focus on my thumb. Focus, come on. Okay, well, but you can really see it like over here on this side, how it's kind of got like the lines and stuff. There's a lot more like smaller ones on like his back and his arms. I don't know if the camera will pick up the ones. Oh, yeah, you can really see it on his arms, because it's just supposed to be a bunch of little worms put together. His sculpt's really good though. He is taller than the older like, first comic issue Shredder. So, that's the thing. There we go. He stands really well, too. Now, for articulation, he has a ab swivel instead of a waist swivel this time. Which, if I grab the old Shredder, yes, I did do my own paint job on him. It's not the greatest, but it's fine. But as you can see, he's got a waist swivel instead of like an upper body crunch and everything. We'll set him off to the side for more comparisons later. Now, besides that, the sculpt work is a lot different, because, let me bring him back in. He's a lot skinnier, while this one is a lot more buff, but this version of Shredder is much later in the comics as well. So, with that being said though, still a really good sculpt. Now, I would like to go ahead and get into the articulation, and I will say the articulation is relatively the same on both of these guys. And actually thinking about it, I do need to show you guys the sculpt on him. So, for right now, we're going to set I can never remember his name, and I don't want to say it and butcher it, because I would feel awful. Now, with this Shredder, this is where you can really start to kind of compare these two, because, yeah, they're pretty much the same. Well, not the same, but you get what I'm saying. Compared, much taller already. Let me straighten mine's leg completely out and get him to stand up fully. Straighten him up, and yeah. As you can tell, while yes, they are slightly closer to height, this one's got just a little bit on him, and he's a lot bulkier, while this one is a lot skinnier. But again, this is like first issue Shredder. So we're going to set him back off to the... Actually, we'll just kind of set him off to the background instead, and we'll do the same with him. And these two were actually like pretty much same height, except for this... Except for Uda Kurosaki. I think that's how you say his name. I might be wrong. I will feel bad though if I did mispronounce it. I want to say he's almost a little taller, but that's just because of how the helmet sits. It kind of makes this one's head kind of like get pushed forward. So we will set him back off to the background. And sculpt wise, as you can tell, these two actually differ quite a lot. Granted, I think they did just reuse the torso, but that's fine. No, because they actually... No, never mind. There are no... Maybe the only reused parts are, like, the legs. Yeah, probably just the legs. But besides that... This guy's sculpt is really good, too. Now, here's the big difference I want to point out. His arms are completely smooth. Like, you know, flesh. But this one's... From where this is where like they're supposed to really be able to tell the worms, these ones are like more textured and have more of like a grainy kind of look to them. And that is also reflected in their hands, which I'll get to in just a minute. Sculpt wise though, this guy's really good. Pretty sure the legs are just reused on these guys, which is fair because they're the same person. But, you know, okay, and actually, as you can see here, this one's helmet only has the one flap, while this one's has multiple different ones, and this is actually a really big comparison that I did want to show on camera. This one's horn, or like, I don't know what they would be considered. Spikes, guards, whatever they might be considered. This ones are longer because they go off of his helmet while this one is shorter, but these two stay the same length. And even the helmet design is slightly more different, because this one's a little bit more angular, while this one's kind of more like rounded. I don't know how well the camera will pick that up. But, and even their shoulder guards are completely different, because this one has 3 spikes, while this one has a lot more. So, just small things like that are your big differences between these two, besides obviously like the beefiness. I guess this would also technically be a comparison as well, but now I'm gonna I'll show you the articulation on both of these guys, and then we'll get into the accessories. So, kicking forward, you're gonna need about that much, so you can get a good 90 degree. Kicking back, you're pretty much not gonna get anything, just because they do both have this kind of like butt flap thing there. Now, I'll make him kick out again at 90. Right at 90. His foot can pivot forward and pivot back. Now here's the other thing. This one does not have the toe articulation. However, we'll make this one kick forward. He does have the toe articulation, and he also has the ankle pivot. But I think the reason they excluded the toe joint is because, one, it would have messed with the paint that's down in there, and 2, probably just because this guy's maybe slightly heavier than this guy. Now, with that being out of the way, you can kind of rotate your thigh. I'd be very careful though, because if you can look, it's a lot like yeah, you can see that joint up in there. So just be kind of careful on that, because I've had pegs like this snap on me before, just moving the thigh, so do be careful doing stuff like that. And I will also say, despite me taking these guys out of the box before recording this, I honestly still didn't have much problem with the articulation straight out of the box. So maybe heat up their joints, maybe don't. That's just I'm just saying, my two that came in the box, their articulation was amazing. It's like right out of the box, nothing was stiff. I didn't need to heat anything up. So now for the arms, you can go, okay, before you start moving the plate, you can go that far up and you can go that far out. I mean, honestly, probably, yeah, okay, that's all the way back. You can go that far back, and then if you really want to risk, like, yeah, like as you can see, mine's already kind of popped a little bit out of place, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. So you'll get that far forward. His arm rotates all the way around. You can get a good, about, I'd say maybe 90, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I'm gonna go with a little bit more though. Yeah, this was completely my fault. So just be careful rotating the arm. I will fix that after this. Yeah, just be mindful of these, because these are not really glued on the best. And that was completely my fault. 100% nothing on NECA's problem. I was messing with it too much. Yeah, that's going to be about as far as you can get, or you can kind of put that there and do that. Both are fine. And you'll get the same amount of articulation on both shoulders. Now, as far as you can get him to lean back with the ab crunch, and yeah, as far as you can get him to lean forward with the ab crunch. This one doesn't really get that great of an ab crunch, just fine. And then for the head, I will also warn you guys, be extremely careful with this guy, because his horns are very sharp. Actually, when I took these out of the box, I stabbed myself. So, do be careful, keep that in mind. He looks up that much, can look down that much. I would personally recommend maybe only turning his head that much. I mean, you could get it to do a full 360. Just don't force it if it's very clear it's not going to go. But yeah, that is the articulation on this guy. This guy's got the same leg articulation, so I'm just going to skip over the legs. Arm articulation, though, is very different, because from where he doesn't have the shoulder blockers, you can fully rotate his arm. That's as far as it'll go up. Sits, I'd say, honestly, and one thing I failed to mention is, like, they do have a little bit, and I'm sure the camera picks it up, they do have a little bit that sticks out to the side, which is why they don't sit completely flush to the sides. His arms also rotate, both of them. I'll even... now his elbows, you can get him to pretty much touch both of his pecs. Well, I'm gonna leave that off for the rest of the review. Now, with this one, you can get him... Wow, okay. Okay, so... Wait, am I using his shoulder? Okay. Let me not use his shoulder. That's still using his shoulder. Hold on, guys. Okay, there actually is a bit of difference. Not using this one's shoulder, you can't even get him to touch his pec. This one, as you can see, both the joints here are down. You can get him to touch his pecs. But I think the reason for that is because this blocks, like, right in here. Now, using the shoulders, though, I wonder if you can get good diagonals. I don't know if he can I don't know if you can get him to cross his arms. Using the shoulders, though, yeah, he'll cross his arms, like, at his chest. And like I said, this guy, even turning... Well, no, because if you use the shoulders on him, you could probably... Yeah, you could get him to cross his arms. You just gotta use the shoulder joints. So, yes, they can touch their chest. Never mind. I thought that was going to be a little different, considering this part sticks out quite a bit, but it's not. So, now, oh, I did also fail to mention this on him. You do also get, and this goes for all the hands too, you do get wrist articulation. So, just be very careful with the wrist pegs, though. Yeah, no, I don't feel comfortable taking that out. So, that'll just stay in there. But I'll... There we go. But that's kind of the wrist peg you're working with there. Just be careful. It's probably not best to raw remove them like I just did. But, the wrist will bend in that much, and it can also bend down that much. On this one, wrist bends down about that far before you start kind of hitting the armor, and then your wrist can bend in that much forward. So that is that. Ab crunch. Okay, so you can get that much. Let me fix. Okay, you can get that far back on the unarmored version, and then forward you get about, yeah, you get about that much, which isn't much different than pretty much just having him sit straight up. And like I said, both of their ankles do have head movement. Okay, sorry. Okay. So now we're gonna set these guys off to the side. And these. Okay, sorry. And for hands, you get 4 sets of hands, including the fist hands that come on them in the box. For his non-armored version, you get all of these, and you get 2 swords. And then with his armored version, you get all of these, plus holding hands, so you can hold, or so he can hold this. Which, in comparison, so, with that being said, I'm gonna scoot their accessories off to the side, and now, it's time for my favorite part of the video, where I compare them to some other figures. So, actually, we'll use one of the older, or not one of the older, but one of the later turtle iterations, and one of the older turtle iterations. So, and just for the comparison's sake, because I'm assuming, for the most part, this will probably be the one a lot of people put out on their shelves, if not both. But even still, I will use both of them in the comparison. And, yeah. So, for this part, ignore that you can see everything. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay, here we have old NECA Raphael, who I'm currently painting up. This is one of the knockoff ones, before anyone gets mad at me in the comments. He comes up to about, like, chest level. You know, kind of compared. Actually, this works out really well, too. I'm kind of glad I grabbed him earlier in the thing. That's how tall first issue Shredder is compared to these two. A lot shorter than them. Now, from where I don't have any of the older iteration, or like, not the older, but the later iterations of any of the other turtles, I'm gonna use my, let me get him posed up straight first, which he will be a lot shorter, but that's fine. The Wanderer, which as you can tell, definitely scales a lot better to, let me get him straight up. Yeah, there we go. Which, as you can tell, definitely scales a lot more in line. Now, granted, you know, these are both the same, from the same brand, NECA, and, you know, same, like, comic issue series kind of part. These guys are more in scale with each other, and these guys are more in scale with each other, just because these are the later iterations in the comics of the Turtles and Shredder, while this is first issue and, like, early Turtle issues. So, let's see how well he actually scales with a non-comic variant of one of the Turtles. Okay, with my TMNT 2012 Donatello from NECA, they actually scale relatively in scale as well. Which I was a little shocked at, which I actually didn't know. Oh, and also just for comparison, yes, this version is got about like a whole like shoulder and head's worth of more height compared to these guys than him. And even just so you have that comparison there. And we'll do my other only comic line I've collected by NECA. I don't have any of the Archie series Turtles, or I guess what would be considered the 87 Turtles. But I do have the Last Ronin here, so we'll compare him to that. And honestly, they are about the same size as you can see here on camera, and I have you guys like relatively close. Now compared to Unarmored, yeah, they're fairly in scale with one another. And then just for some other figure lines, we'll use, yeah, actually this works because all of my other turtles are out at my new place where I'm moving soon. That's how he scales to a Playmates, Metalhead, and we'll do Jack Specific just because I collect a lot of Jack Specific. that's how he scales to a 4-inch Amy figure. And just for like I don't know if any of you guys have any of these or not, so these aren't the original legs, but just for one more size comparison for you guys, that's how he size compares to one of the smaller skeleton figures. With that being said, would I recommend these figures to someone who is looking for a shredder for their collection? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're really great. I mean, minus, you know, mine having the shoulder pad problem, which again was completely my fault. But I would totally, and honestly, this is such a simple fix. You can get just a little bit of super glue and put it in there, and there you go. It'll just be like it never broke off. But honestly, I would 100% recommend these figures to anybody. Yeah, I would 100% though recommend these to anyone who's interested. And I did pause the footage for a couple seconds just so I could get this hand swapped out. And honestly, that's how the sword is in his hands. And I mean, as long as you're careful with these guys, they'll honestly, besides me really liking 2012 Shredder, I would say pick these guys up, honestly, for any of your figure lines. Well, not figure lines, but like, if you're collecting Ninja Turtles and you want like a really good Shredder, but you don't know what to pick up this 2-pack. Because you get both unarmored and armored. And looking at the box, actually, there is one last accessory that I failed to mention. It is taped down. I don't have nails, so I will just have to show the box they came in, and I hope the camera will pick it up. I don't know if you guys can see that. There is, in fact, a Worm of Madness up there. So, you get that as well. But yeah, I would seriously recommend picking these up for anyone who's interested in getting, you know, a good Shredder figure for your, like, lineup of turtles. I mean, I really just like NECA figures too, so that could just be me. I think though, overall, if I had to go between either picking up these new Shredders that just recently came out, or I had to go with getting the one I painted, which, you know, I would never paint again. But still, if I had to go between those or these guys, honestly, I would go with these guys. Just because they're a lot better articulation-wise. They're more... In my opinion, I would honestly see myself playing with these guys. Well, playing. More like just reposing and stuff. But I would see myself reposing these guys a lot more. And I do see myself reposing these guys a lot more than I do, you know, this guy. But, you know, obviously, if you don't have the money to be able to go and get these, that's fine. But honestly, overall, I'd say these guys are worth it. They pose really well. They, you know, they're really good. You can pose them up with, you know, any of your other toy lines, and I think they'll look fine. So with that being said, I think that's where I'm gonna call the review. Thank you to anyone who has stayed subbed to the channel since my hiatus. But besides that, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. And hopefully my next upload isn't too long. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.